Hey there, I am Christina Chappetta, and I'm joined by Sarah Moore today as we present to you the Achievement Awards from Pinkbike this year.
We have a ton of awards to give out today, including the Pinkbike Favorite, Athlete of the Year, as well as Performance of the Year, Comeback of the Year, a brand new category for this year, which is Breakout Athlete of the Year, and then we've also got the Event of the Year. With our Achievement Awards, we're looking at nominees across all disciplines of mountain biking, and to be considered a performance or an event has to have taken place between January 1st and December 15th, 2021.
Awesome, let's tuck in, shall we? First up, performance.
Our first nominee is Reese Wilson, 2020 world champion, but he had never won a World Cup until this year in snowshoe. And that was after a massive ejection in Leger, so it was amazing to see him finally seal that first World Cup win.
Absolutely, Sarah, but we gotta bring it on to number 2 here. Our second nominee is Greg Minnaar. He won his 4th World Championship title this year, and that's his 11th podium finish in World Champs overall, so big ups.
Another athlete that we were super impressed by was Christopher Blevins. The first ever World Championships took place in Durango, Colorado, which is where he happens to be from, but no American had won a World Cup since 1994, and he won a World Cup cross-country race on American soil at snowshoe, so that was just incredible to see.
Moving on, we have absolutely got to recognize Evie Richards, who took her first elite world level win this year at World Championships.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool when your first elite win also gets you rainbow stripes for the entire next year. And then another athlete that we absolutely have to mention, Brandon Semenuk. He won an unprecedented 4th Red Bull Rampage. So just incredible work by Brandon once again.
Totally, Sarah. All great nominees, but there can only be one winner from us this year, and that winner is Christopher Blevins.
American soil, first World Cup win for an American since 1994. Amazing to see. And it was also just like a nail-biting finish. He was right neck and neck with the rest of the guys. He finished by 9 seconds ahead of Vlad Daskalou. And so, yeah, that's a performance that was really, really unexpected. And that's exactly what we're looking for in Performance of the Year.
All right, Sarah, everybody loves a good comeback story. So let's praise those athletes that came back strong in 2021. First up, we got to start with Tyler McCall, because that guy came back to a 6th place finish at Red Bull Rampage this year, and that was after 16 months of recovery with his gnarly ankle injury he sustained in January 2020.
And those are some really difficult hits that you're taking at Red Bull Rampage, so that was incredible to see. Another athlete, Thibaut Deprella, he came back and won a World Cup in Leger the weekend after he had about 30 stitches in his tongue and broke his nose at a French Cup. So that was absolutely incredible to see. We're sending him healing vibes. Once again, he broke his fibula and his thumb at the Snowshoe World Cup, but we have a feeling we might see him on this list once again next year.
Next up, we gotta bring it over to Valley Hull. She unfortunately ended her 2020 season with a huge injury, but coming into 2021, she was a clear favorite in the women's World Cup downhill scene. With that comes a lot of stress, and she was finally able to pull it all together. She had a couple of wins there at the end, and she secured the overall World Cup downhill championship. That's amazing.
Her first actually full season, and she takes that overall. So that was incredible to see, and what a performance at snowshoe. Absolutely amazing. Another athlete, comeback of the year, we gotta mention her, Jolanda Neff. She, came back from life-threatening injury. She's been on our list before, but 6 weeks before the Olympics, she broke her wrist. And then she came back and she won the Olympics, which is kind of a big deal. It only comes around every 4 or 5 years. And so to take that after breaking her wrist, coming back from the other injuries, absolutely incredible to see.
These are all great comeback stories, very much pulling on the heartstrings, but there can only be one winner, and that winner is Jolanda Neff.
Yeah, Jolanda Neff has not one, but 2 incredible comeback stories. First of all, December 2019, she had that life-threatening crash, which she came back to. But you know what, Jolanda Neff, she wants to be winning every single race that she's in. So 2020 for her, she came back to 6th, which we all thought was incredible. She said that she was pretty disappointed with that. But this year, to come back, win the Olympics, yeah, congratulations, Jolanda, you're the Comeback of the Year winner.
Exciting stuff, because 2021 brought back so many of our favorite events. Some of them have been on maybe a hiatus for a year or two, and we also saw some inaugural events last year. So Hard to pick a winner, but what's the criteria, Sarah?
Yeah, so we're looking at every discipline of the sport, events that hadn't taken place in a while, events that had either the athletes were super happy with them, there was lots of fan support, the media that came out of these events, and just events that were a little bit above and beyond, one that you really wanted to be there yourself if you weren't.
Alrighty, Sarah. First up, the ladies. Let's talk about formation, because this was the second year of progressing women's freeride mountain biking in the deserts of Utah. We saw some of the biggest hits, sends, and crashes that absolutely prove women have a place in freeride mountain biking.
Some amazing footage came out of formation, definitely an event that we both wanted to be at, which I think is criteria for being that event of the year. Another event that looked absolutely insane, the Léger World Cup. It was a double header. They had some dramatic weather and some really tight racing, and definitely an exciting one with all those French fans.
We cannot forget to talk about the Snowshoe World Cup downhill and cross-country races at the end of the season in the US this year. It was super, super exciting to watch, and not gonna lie, as an American, I was a little bit gutted not to be there, but what a way to finish off an insane season, back racing.
And then another event that was, once every 4 or 5 years, the Olympics. We can't not mention that. I wasn't sure it was gonna take place until pretty much the week before, even like the morning of, I was like, are the Olympics actually gonna take place? They did. Athletes from around the world, despite COVID and what the world was going through, they were able to get everybody to Tokyo and put on an amazing, amazing race. Really exciting to see.
Super, super exciting, especially because we had to wait an extra year for that content and to see those competitors, they work so hard. They've got this 4-year goal in mind, and then to be like, nope, moving it to a 5th year, that must be really, really difficult to deal with. But my personal favorite, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I'm gonna say it anyway, was Rampage this year, because the whole team was there. Sarah and I were both there. They took a year off last year. It was the first time they'd done that in a while, and so everybody was super keen just to be there, to see the buddies in the desert, to dig hard, and they put on a huge show for the people at home.
Yeah, we were really lucky to be there in person for that one event this year, and just exceptional that they were able to organize that and put it together. And with 15 athletes, it was pretty tight, pretty exciting to watch. Another event, EWS Scotland. It was the final. There was some drama with some course cutting. There was, drama with the weather. It was a pretty exciting race, and another one that it just looked like it would have been really fun to actually compete in.
And the winner is formation. It is so amazing to see all these new avenues for women in mountain biking. They don't just have to be racers anymore. They can be free riders, slopestyle riders, whatever they want. And I gotta say, the video content that came out of Red Bull Formation this year was just insane. It absolutely leveled up the women's riding content, and I love to see it. With the insane progression within mountain biking the last few years and the boom that came in 2020 when everybody and their mothers picked up a mountain bike, we have got to talk about the Breakout Athletes. This is a new category for us, and it's super exciting because we just love shedding a light on some of these names that maybe weren't household names before. One of my favorite athletes to watch on a bike with insane style is Jackson Riddle. He just got a Red Bull contract about a year ago, and he finally got to compete at Red Bull Rampage, which as a local, you can imagine he's been looking up to this for a long, long time.
Another athlete that I'd never heard of before 2021, Izabela Yankova. She's Bulgarian, and she won the World Cup overall in the junior women's category. She won a bunch of World Cups, she won World Championships, and you know what? When you're 17 and you win World Championships, she's gonna get to wear those rainbow stripes all next year, and we expect more great things from here next year.
Moving on over to the EWS circuit, we gotta talk about Hattie Harnden. She is the Trek Factory racer that just blew onto the scene this year. She had 2 wins in the elite women's category, and she's actually the youngest female winner in EWS history at just 20 years old. I mean, talk about consistency. That girl never finished outside the top 10 this year.
And she also raced Cross Country World Cup and Enduro World Series, so that was absolutely incredible. I think we're gonna see quite a lot more coming from her in both disciplines in years coming forward. And if we go back to cross country, another athlete that if you're following mountain biking, you probably hadn't heard of before this year, a guy, 21-year-old Tom Pidcock from Great Britain. He won the Olympics, but nobody had really heard of him within mountain biking before the first race of the year, which he ended up coming 5th, all the way from the back of the field to the front of the field, finished on the podium. People said this might happen. I just can't believe that happened, and he definitely broke into the mountain bike scene in a big way. Him and Matthew van der Poel racing across all disciplines of cycling, road, cyclocross, mountain biking, and yeah, I think he's in mountain biking to stay. But of course, there can only be one winner, Christina, and you know who that is? Drum roll, please. Isabella Yankova.
Yes, we are absolutely hyped on this young lady. She, at 17 years old, she won the Privateer Award from Win Masters this year, and that just shows you that girl demands respect from the industry. She absolutely deserves it. Hailing from Bulgaria, we cannot wait to see how her next season goes. Athlete of the Year, we're keeping this one pretty vague. It can be from any discipline within mountain biking. Perhaps it was from, a big competition. Maybe it was a racer, EWS rider, whatever the case may be. We left no stones unturned. First nominee in this category, Athlete of the Year, we got to give it up to Jackson Goldstone. He's a little bit of a Squamish hometown hero. And at 17 years old, just his first year in the Junior World Cup downhill circuit, he won the overall title with a near perfect season, and he secured world champs.
If we're going to talk about near perfect, we have to talk about Emil Johansson. He's won the last 6 slopestyle events that he's taken part in, and then he also won the slopestyle Triple Crown, only the second ever athlete to do that behind Nikolai Rogatkin.
All right, Sarah, let's move it on to enduro and recognize some of those athletes as well. Got to talk about Melanie Pugin. She dominated this year. She secured her first EWS overall win, which was just amazing to see because we keep tight ties on those EWS results, especially in the ladies field, and this was the most competitive season ever.
Yeah, so some really exciting women's racing, and then let's keep it enduro for a little bit longer. We've got Jack Moyer. We got to talk about him, his second year racing Enduro World Series, and he finished first overall, and not without a little bit of adversity. He had a really bad mechanical where his wheel pretty much exploded. Somehow he got it to the end of the race, and then he also had a shoulder injury. He actually ended up getting shoulder surgery after the season was done, but he was able to really give Richie Roux a run for his money. It was super tight racing, back and forth every single weekend. Who's gonna win? And just the mental strength to keep going through that entire season and ended up taking that win. Really exciting.
All right, let's mix it up. Let's go XC because there were some phenomenal athletes this year. As always, we got to talk about Loana Lecomte. Unfortunately, she didn't get to finish out her season. She was a bit ill there and a bit tired at the end, but even without those last couple races, she secured the World Cup cross country overall title. I mean, every race that she was out there winning, she was ahead by, sometimes some pretty big gaps. It was just her first year elite, so awesome work, Loana.
And then another athlete who might give Loana a run for her money next year is U23 rider Mona Mittenvaller. And she absolutely dominated the U23 women's category. And she competed at ABSA Cape Epic and did really well within the elites. And some of her result times were really close to the elites. And so I'm really excited to see what she can do when she moves up to the elite category.
All right, Sarah, those were some incredible athletes. And honestly, I'd love to just give participation awards to everybody because there were so many good ones. It's hard to pick. But we have chosen a winner, and the Pinkbike Athlete of the Year is Jack Moir.
Congratulations, Jack. Absolutely amazing to see him just fight back weekend after weekend through all the adversity that he had and in his second year as an EWS racer. And there you have it. That's the 2021 Pinkbike Achievement Awards.
Stay tuned for the rest of the week because we've got some more awards coming, including New Mountain Bike of the Year, Value Mountain Bike of the Year, and some product awards for the year. Thanks for watching.